What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. You can like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV. We are back live at Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas, Nevada, episode 614 of the podcast with the one, the only,
Johnny Domenico.
Johnny D. Domenico. I was going to say
Hello,
the Johnny
ladies.
Show,
How
gracing
are you?
us with his presence. Everybody walking by, waving. He's Donald Trump. He's Austin Powers. I saw he did the Tiger King once.
Yes, that was
Morgan
fun.
Freeman, Jack
Morgan
Nicholson, you name it.
Freeman. Yes, any voice I hear, I try to get in there and pull it out. But obviously Trump is probably the most well known at this point. I have to tell you.
You've been doing it for like 20 years.
Along with that, I started doing impressions when I was 5. But Trump I started when I was
like
2004. And I think one of the reasons I got so lucky that I was, so much of life is right place, right time.
Yeah.
And I had been doing him since 2004. And when he announced, and I had a pretty good run with him, I was doing a lot of corporate stuff and voiceover for commercials and all these different things. I did a movie, those parody movies, A Date Night.
Yeah.
I did a couple of those. And but when he announced June of 2016, like, right place, right time, and I got a buddy of mine had just taken over on Red Eye for Fox News. Red Eye. Greg Gutfeld had just left, and his name was Tom Shalhoub, and we used to do stand up together in New York. You and I were talking about New York pre-show, so I did theater with him and stand up with him, and he was like, "Hey, you want to be the Trump on my show?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, sure." And I did a couple of those, and I was seen by some of Conan's writers, and then I joined Conan's staff, not staff. I don't want to oversell it, but I ended up doing like 52 appearances on the show. So that was very, very cool. I was a jobber, folks. I was just a jobber. Whenever they need me, they would bring me in.
Jobber. That's a wrestling term for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of the bum that they bring in. But
Digging
I'm
it.
not going to define you that way.
No.
How is it working with Conan? I've heard mixed things from a few different guests.
I have to say, I think he's absolutely one of the nicest guys. Every time I was on the show, I got to speak with him. I did the Comic-Con shows, which were incredible. If we did a call-in, he was on the phone with me. So he was really, really nice to me. And there's a lot of people that go through his show. He likes to have people that he knows. Once I got in, like I said, I was on the show 52 times. Check IMDb, you can see it. But he likes to work with the same people, and he has a really great repertory group. And he was always super nice to me. And just, because when you pick up the phone and you do, and I'm on Stern and I'm on a bunch of other shows, when you pick up the phone, you're thinking it's the producer or the engineer or whatever. And when it's Conan, it's pretty mind-blowing, because that guy has a lot of responsibilities. So it was really nice. And on stage, we would do the sketch. We were doing the shows at Comic-Con. We were at the Sparkles Theater, 3,000 people. It's huge. But when we were rehearsing in the afternoon, and I would come out as Captain Make America Great Again. And we would do the sketch, and then we'd take a break, and he would edit on the fly. He's got his guitar, and he'd go, cut this out, move this, move that. And you can see why he is so incredibly funny. He's an amazing comedian, but he's a great comedic editor. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why his show was so successful and why he's so funny.
Mm-hmm. He's funny. He seems the most genuine out of any late-night talk show host that there was.
Yeah.
Jay Leno was good.
Yeah, Jay Leno. How are you? Good to see you.
I think there's a lot of people that'll say Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. Some people love them. Some people despise those guys.
I met Kimmel twice. I've worked on his show a couple of times. But he was, again, very nice to me. So, and there was no firewall. Like when I'm so lucky. I've done about 32 appearances now on Howard Stern. I've only got to talk to Howard once, though. But, he's
Really?
kind of intimidating. So when he was on, hey, how are you? How you doing? He's all business, man. There's the one thing with Conan, hey, how are you? How you doing? How's it living in Las Vegas? How's this? So that? He's very in the moment, and he's kind of like, he's very avuncular in that fashion. With Howard, it's very like, let's do it. And I get it. He's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Even like 30 plus years later being on the air,
Yeah.
You think he'd like loosen up. Like you're already considered the greatest interviewer of all time.
Yeah,
dude.
he is a great interviewer. I think right now, though, like the show is so much money at stake and it's so big. I can't imagine the pressure when he's on air. He's obviously very cool, but I cannot imagine like that pressure. He's one of the highest paid entertainers of all time.
Yeah.
So, and maybe he doesn't give a shit. I don't know.
Part of him doesn't, and that's part of his lore, right? He didn't give a shit for so many years. I think he's got fined the most out of anybody in like Sirius XM history for things that he did. And he's just like, yeah, keep throwing money that way. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue being me.
Do you remember my favorite? You saw Private Parts.
Yep.
My favorite part was the analyst who came in and said, the average Howard Stern listener listens for 2.5 hours. Like, that's great. Well, thank you very much. No. Hold on. There's more. The average Howard Stern hater listens for the entire show. And I thought that's his success. People would be listening who hated him. His hate listeners were so big,
It's crazy. And then he's got Robin too, who's seems like the nicest lady in the world.
Yeah, and
right?
she's like glue. I mean, I think like she's the glue of the show. And the very first time I was on was March 3 years ago. March 3 years ago. And you log into a Zoom call because by then it was already COVID. And oh no, it had to be later. So you log in, I'm on the Zoom call, and like there's Howard, there's Robin, and there's me. I was like, this is the coolest, because I've been listening to him since the late 80s. Because my brother lived in Long Island, we go visit him, and then we'd drive down and lose the signal. But it was really amazing. It's like a dream come true.
It's crazy to think that you've only met him once too.
Yeah, it is. But when you're on the air, man, like you're flowing with them and it's great. And I get all the communications through my producers who I work with on the show. And like, Howard really liked it today. So I was like,
I know, right?
Can I come back? And they call you and like, you're coming back again. And like, yes. And I have a friend who's on the show too, Piat. He's the one who does George Takei and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jeff Goldblum and Captain Kirk. So he does all those voices, and he's been on for quite a while. And he's an amazing impressionist, comedian. You get to work with all these incredibly talented people, which elevates your game.
Do you know the exact number of impressions you can do?
At one point it was like 100, but so many of them now, no one knows.
It's like repetition too. It's like you stop doing one, and then you kind of lose it.
Yeah, you kind of lose it. You have to go back. It was just when I went to do Captain Kirk, I was like, I'm a little rusty on that. Don't pull that out right now. But as a kid, I was doing a lot of voices, and it was funny because people like Lieutenant Columbo, which most people don't know who he is. Folks, I hate to bother you. I loved his voice. I love the graveliness of the voice and how you can kind of take your voice and push it down and make it all crunchy, And then you do somebody else like Austin Powers, baby, and it's a lot purer.
It's crazy. That's honestly, that and Trump are the two I think that are my favorite of yours.
Yeah, they're probably the ones I do the most. Years ago, when I was doing him all the time, People Magazine did a really nice story, and it's nice to be recognized for what you do. But when Trump came along, I was like, holy mackerel! I was just blown away, blown away.
We were talking like right before we came on about Mike Myers. Could you imagine if Chris Farley was Shrek?
Yeah,
it would have been completely different.
But it would have been a totally different film. Totally. But the beauty of Chris Farley was he was such a great comedian, and I've watched you're talking about I've watched every documentary on him. I was a huge Belushi fan. I mean, huge. I know exactly where I was when John Belushi died. And I know Farley was a huge fan too. And he just loved Belushi, and he wanted to be that Belushi guy and be out there and so extreme. But he was he was so many things. Like he would go to party all night long in New York and then go to mass on Sunday morning. And I just thought, like, there is something about this guy. He has such heart. And I think that's why he was so successful. But people, the fat, funny guy, but his ability to pull your heartstrings was amazing. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing Jimmy, the character Jamie Foxx used to do on Living Color, the woman, the unattractive woman. I remember seeing him for the first time, and I'm thinking, this guy's really talented, because you want to cry. Yeah. You're laughing, but you want to cry because this character's breaking your heart. That's that thing. It's not just pure comedy. It's that other component that kind of pulls an audience in and, catapulted Chris Farley. Because Tommy Boy, to this day, if you're feeling down, watch Tommy Boy. All you'll do is cry your eyes out laughing.
They didn't think anything was going to come of that movie either.
That movie is fat guy in a little coat. I cannot tell you how many times I've said that.
And that's just those guys like this. That's what they did in The Office, right? That's
Right.
what they all say. Like Lorne Michaels is like, that's just them on camera being themselves,
And supposedly,
and it sells.
and supposedly that was that whole thing was improv. Let me do this bit when fat guy and a little. Oops.
Oh no, I broke it. Yeah. I think he would have gone down. I don't know how he would have adjusted because everybody that worked with him says like he was a great actor. Everybody's just going to look at him like, oh, he's the comedian. He
Right.
was the, quote unquote fat guy. Everybody who knew him was just like, he could have gone on to do amazing things if he believed it himself too.
Yeah, it's addiction's tough. I think we all have friends who've lost their lives to it. It's a terrible thing.
I mean, I'm trying to think like Howard Stern. That guy's been through the ringer and back, I feel like, especially in the entertainment.
But I think to a certain extent he's kind of been smart enough to isolate himself, or should I say his neuroses has isolated himself, so I don't think he's had to deal with, other than the issues that he's talked about, those external issues.
Yeah. Do you like that style of like broadcast television better, like the Howard Stern, Joe Rogan side of things, where I feel like more conversations are real and raw? Where like I was saying before, like the Fallons and the Kimmels seem like great guys, but like their shows almost, I mean, they're on national
so
television,
overproduced,
right?
Yeah, it's so overproduced. I mean, I think in when the Tonight Show started with Jack Parr and then Johnny Carson and then up to Leno, and then Conan was there for a while. I think audiences were used to that mold, but I don't think a lot of those original audiences are in that place anymore. Because I love Jimmy Fallon, I love Kimmel, and I love that true structure, like the opening monologue and the interviews. But so many of the interviews just feel canned because the people are there to promote something, and we all know that. Get that in. But those real conversations you get on Stern, wow. I mean, some of the stuff that people, like Charlize Theron, when she was talking about, like she was, the guy came on to her, and that you're not going to get that on those other shows, So, but at least we're in a period of time where you can choose the shows you want to watch, or watch both. You know what I mean? You want some cotton candy before you go to sleep. If you want some really deep dive on Rogan or something, that's there too.